Hey everybody, how's everybody doing this morning? It's morning here in England. Going to be doing some coding today, and I just thought that maybe I'll just live stream it. Been just working on some UI stuff for this app that I've been working on, and yeah, thought I'd show how what I'm up to. Show you some of my thought process. So this is one that I've been working on for a while. So let me pull this over here. I'll be I'll be getting started here in a minute. Just logging into my Discord. How's it going, George? I see you all over the place. You were at talk the other day, right? One second here. Okay. So get rid of all this stuff. All right. So this isn't really much of a tutorial. This is actually just me working on my own thing, and I thought that maybe it would be helpful for some people if they actually saw just my thought process when I'm working on my own stuff. So might not be doing a whole lot of talking. Just gonna get get into it really. Some of the compile time on this takes a little while, so sorry for any sort of dead space. But yeah, thanks a lot, George. George says that he saw my presentation. So I did a presentation for Barnard College and Columbia University yesterday evening. So like not last night, but the night before, and it was a lot of fun. Met a lot of students. They're working on some amazing things. That wow, the stuff that some of these students are coming up with is actually pretty awesome. And yeah, it was really fun. I had a great time, and it was really great meeting some of the students that that were that were doing presentations on stuff. So yeah, so I'm working on this app. I guess I'll show it to you, but I'm working on just different parts of this DJ app. And the main thing that I'm doing today is I'm just working on the UI. So I'm just going to show you kind of what I have at the moment and just where we want to go. So this is the app right now. So I have a login screen, but I have it set up where I can just hit login, or else it'll take me forever to actually do this each and every time. Then you hit login. It takes you to this setup screen. So this is the main part that I'm going to work on today, is getting this setup screen, making the UI on it a little bit better. So essentially what happens is that I have a hardware mixer, and what I want to do is when I connect the hardware mixer, so I'll actually connect it, it will this display will actually turn white, and these options that are disabled at the moment, those will become enabled, and you can actually change what turntable that you want to work with, what type of digital vinyl software that you want to use. And so I'll show you what happens when it connects. So I will be right back. Just connecting up my USB here. I'll actually pull this up here. So this is the mixer that I'm working with. So it's Pioneer DJM S9, but I don't have all my equipment hooked up at the moment, just this part. And then if you turn it on, then you will see shortly what happens here, hopefully. So there you go. So it turns on, and we see that we have a picture of the mixer here. We see that the status is connected, and we see that we have, you can switch between left and right turntables, but this is okay at the moment. This is, I've been doing this throughout the week, but you can see this looks a little bit janky. All of this is white, so the diagrams aren't really clear. And also, when you disconnect the mixer, and now you have this, please connect mixer to begin, and this is all grayed out, which is cool. But I think this could be better. I think this please connect mixer to begin should probably be in the middle, and maybe it should be flashing. So maybe we'll try to do some flashing text, see if we could do something like that, and that it might even, maybe we'll even just shade this even darker before when there's no hardware that's actually connected. So yeah, so that's the main thing that I'm looking at. Probably going to try to look at the look and feel class a little bit today for some of these things. So like this Dropbox, we see that it has this checkbox, and that's cool. I don't know. I feel like that could be better. It looks, obviously the colors can be better as well. This mixer is too small. This could be a lot bigger. So there are quite a few things here that I would like to fix, and yeah. So there's quite a few things to do. I think I might start actually with the mixer. So we see that the mixer is quite small. So I think I made it that small in Photoshop. So what I need to do is I need to make it bigger and re-import it back into re-import it back into Juice, and then redisplay it. So that could be interesting for people who don't know how to import PNGs and assets and things like that. I actually forget this process every single time I have to do it. So it'll be a little bit of me just kind of going through it and trying to remember how to do it myself. So yeah, so I think that's a cool place for us to start. Let me just pull that, and let's see. Let me see if I can actually find these assets. So we have graphic assets, and let's see. I forget where all of this is. So let me pull this over here. I'm just gonna photos, maybe, no, projects, so much stuff now. Scratch champion, and then graphic assets, and there's the logo. Where's the mixer? I don't know where the mixer is. Photoshop thumbnails. Assets. Okay. So, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go online, and I'm just going to find another photo of this mixer. And so it's Pioneer DJM S9. I hope nobody sues me for taking their photo or something like that. So let's see here. So we want a pretty big photo. So let's do tools and then size, and we're going to do a large photo. And I was looking for something that was like quite big. Oh, this is a good one here, 1500 by 1500. Only thing is that it's on a white background. It'd be great if we could find something that was just on a on a transparent background. I mean, if I really wanted to work out on it, maybe I would just remove the black background. I can't even remember how to do that. Seems like something that would be probably pretty simple, wouldn't it? All right, let's try this. Okay, sorry, this has turned from a coding. This has turned from a coding tutorial into a Photoshop hacking tutorial. DJM. Yeah, I'm sorry that I can't answer questions for you while I'm coding. It's tough. It's tough for me to concentrate on this while I'm actually trying to actually accomplish what I'm looking to accomplish. So let me do. Just gonna open this with Photoshop. So here we go. It's doing something. Okay, now I gotta remember how to remove this white background. What the heck is it? I mean, maybe it'd be cool. Maybe it's fine with it. No, I'm gonna remove it. So let's do, what is it? Magic. There's like a lasso tool. Or is it like magic lasso? Um, Maybe I should have done this before I started the live stream. Sorry about this. But you'll see nothing. Sometimes these things just aren't quick. Remove back. Let's look at remove background. So you get to see the whole thing today. You get to see the whole process. Uh, yeah, sometimes these things we just got to Google them. So Photoshop, remove background. There we go. How to remove background in Photoshop. Get rid of this. Da da da. Let's scroll down. Come on. I don't know why these things are so dumb. Just tell me. Okay. Ready your tool. Quick selection tool. That's the one. So, or magic. I think it's quick selection tool that we want. So, which one of these is it? Um, quick selection tool. There we go. Or no, or is it magic wand tool? There we go. Is it like that? Oh, I have to duplicate the layer. Sorry about this. Oh, what's it doing? Oh, wow, that was pretty cool. So duplicate layer. Yes, make a copy. Then I'm gonna do this. Boom, there it is. It doesn't get much more simple than that. Only thing is that there's a little bit down here. So can I just, I'm just going to try to hack this again. So let's duplicate the layer again. Oh no. Okay, so delete this. And then, was it edit deselect? So where's deselect. Okay, so now we got this. Now we just need to get rid of these gray parts. Am I still on my tool? So let's go back to Magic Wand tool. Oh, no layers are selected. There we go. Can I just zap this? With any luck, this might. Oh yeah, this is it. This is it. Saturday morning, we are going in. There we are. Doesn't get much better than that. Awesome. Now we've got our mixer. So now I'm just gonna do file, export, quick export as PNG. I'm gonna try something actually. Let me see if this is actually gonna work. So I'm gonna go into my actual project. So here we are in Scratch Easy. Now what I'm gonna try is I'm gonna try to just replace the smaller picture with this bigger picture and name it the same thing and just replace it. And then fingers crossed it would actually just replace the actual picture. Hey hey Marvin, how's it going? Not Marvin, Martin. Okay, where's our resources? So I have the resources. Okay, now I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to try to replace it because it will be a real. Oh, I'm gonna save this because I just in case. So I would just put that there. And then now if we have luck, it didn't cache, it didn't like do any sort of caching on the actual photo. Oh, it did. Okay. So oh, maybe I need to rebuild it from the producer. So it still has this small photo. So let me do this. I'm going to go back to the producer project. Try to rebuild it. And then hopefully it'll grab the PNG. The PNG I just replaced with the same name from the smaller picture. Maybe I need to make the picture bigger. So that's a possibility as well. So we will try that. So here we are. Hit login. Okay, so I don't know if this is the new picture or the old picture, but let me go back into that and let's see. So we have mixer image. Okay, which were I love this this function set bounds relative. This is really cool for a way to really set up your components quite quickly, and it's a little bit different. Works differently from any of the other ways that you can set up juice juice components, but it's actually quite useful. Oh, so I need to resave the project. Okay, cool. Thank you, Martin. So let me. So I saved it. I'm wondering if maybe my component itself isn't big enough. So I'm gonna actually. So one thing that I find helpful when I'm doing something with multiple components and I'm trying to figure out the area where each one of those components actually resides. I actually like to put a white border around it. And so in my paint method in this component, I just have a white border. So this will actually show a white border just around where the actual bounds of this particular component that holds the mixer is residing. So this might take a minute to build, and yeah, so the build times on these are a little bit longer because it's a pretty big app, but uh, we're going to try that out. And in the meantime, maybe I'll show people some of the other stuff that I used. So I use this change listener. So essentially, I have this set of data that is that's like my settings, and then um, what happens is that I have this component listening for changes in the data, in the settings data, and when there's a change that's detected, depending on whether my mixer has just been connected via USB or not, then that's when the image shows or it doesn't show. So let's see. So let's take a look at. So we can see that the mixer is not filling up the whole bounds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this really big and just test and see if the mixer actually gets bigger. So mixer status is set up in this class called hardware setup. And so we have this mixer status, which is that box that you just saw. I'm going to make this big. I'm going to make this huge, right? So I'm going to make this like this. And now what I want to see is if the mixer actually enlarges with the component. If it enlarges with the component, then we know that it's actually using the new mixer. So question, Martin, when you say that I need to resave the project, you mean just the juice project, right? Not meaning that I need to actually resave re re-upload the binary data. Is that right? Yeah, because I'm not sure if I quite know what you mean there. So um, yeah, how many people are watching? 13 people. Hey, what's up, 13 people? So so yeah, so I've saved the project. I'm just let's see if this mixer gets bigger the as I've made the component larger. So here we are. Okay, so it's gone off. It's actually gone off the screen. Um, so I have a feeling that it's still looking at the previous data. Maybe what I'll try to do. So let's do this. Let's do the binary data again. It'd probably be good for people to see that, actually, to show them how to do that. And the funny thing is that I've actually forgotten how to do this myself. So this will be a fun adventure for all of us. Um, so there's this thing. Yeah, yeah. I thought that's what would happen as well, Martin. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Um, Let me quit the producer, or let me close the project, and then I will reopen the project. And then we do that. Then we will try to build again. Seems like it's got cached somewhere. Either that, or I just haven't set up the size of the mixer properly. So I'm just going to try this again. Log in. Yeah. Let me move it over a little bit. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this. Get rid of this. I'm going to make this 0.1 maybe. And then I'm just going to rebuild this. Now the mixer should just be huge on the screen. So um, while I was doing that, I'm going to follow Martin's advice of double checking the file. So if we go into the actual project file, into lib, into resources, and here we have, yeah, so this is the actual size of the photo, right? Oh, it's got a little gray part. I can come back and fix that later. But that's what we're aiming to do. We're aiming to have it nice and big, and just making sure. Yeah, so that's my actual SVG of my of the actual photo of the mixer. So yeah, so that photo is the right one. Maybe I've just set the bounds of it wrongly. Ah, so we see that the mixer is still the same size. Let me make it bigger on the height. It's possible, so thinking about this further, it's possible that the height of this actually is isn't quite right. So I'm going to make this 0.46, rebuild. Oh, maybe we need to do clean and build. Yeah, so I think Jas made a good point. Clean build folder. Now let's try it. So yeah, let's try that. That might have done it. Hopefully. So thank you, Jas, if that actually works. So building, building, building. I hate these build times. Freaking C++, eh? Gives you plenty of time to think. Actually, it's not too bad actually for a project this sort of size. Um, so here we go, and yeah, it'll get there someday. It's always longest when it gets towards the end of the tasks. So how's everybody doing this morning? Where are you tuning in from? Anybody? So I know Martin is over in Macedonia. Yeah, so that's the next thing I was going to look at as well as setting bounds relative could possibly be the culprit. So there are a number of things that could be the culprit here with this. So I have oh, so let me think about this. I was just thinking so we got mixer image. So where is so mixer oh, I'll keep on. Okay, so this is an image component. How large have I made mixer image? Yeah, so I've made it one, so that should work. Yeah. So set bounds relative does not keep the aspect ratio, but I think I think that you can set the settings for the component itself. Hmm. Is that larger? I don't. So, oh, this is the frustrating thing. Okay, go back to hardware setup. Then I've made this, so this should be like, let me make that 0.8. And um, so let's go back there while we're waiting for this to build again. So we've got the mixer status. So we've got an image component and how am I placing the image component? Yeah, so we got set image, and then we're setting it to true. And let's have a look at yeah, Marvin makes a good point, which is that the image component actually has a place where you can actually adjust some of the settings. So let's go to juice master. Then we got image component. So oh, we got set image placement. So maybe this is Oh, so you could do set. So did I do set image? Oh, so there's an optional second. There's an optional second argument, rectangle placement. So let's do. I'm going to do fill destination. So this will be juice rectangle. Oh, I'm just going to check this build, see if there's anything that actually happened here. Oh, it did get bigger. Oh, how about that? Interesting. So, so the mixer did get bigger. That's about the size that I want to make it actually. Um, yeah, I wonder what the default the on the rectangle placement for the for image component is. So let's have a look at that. So if we go to image component .cpp, so we can see that the placement, the default placement for an image component is centered, right? So that means that it'll always be centered in the middle of whatever the bounds that we set for the image component itself. Wondering if I should move the image component out to a class of its own and and set bounds for it so we can actually see. I think that that might be a good way to go. At the moment, I just have it as I just try to be smart and do it all in one and not have a struct that um, or a class that that actually has this separated out. But let's actually let's actually separate this out. I think this may make our our job a little bit easier. So we will do a class here called mixer image, and then this will inherit from, so this will be public juice image component, and then we will make a public area and a private area, and then we will do an image. So we will create an image. So we'll do juice image mixer. I can't call it mixer image. I'll just call it mixer. And then in the constructor, so let's do mixer image. And then in here, I will do set image and make the image. So no, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to do a couple checks here actually. So I'm going to do mixer equals. So now I need to go to the image class. So let's see here. Um, so let me do this. I am going to do this, I think. So auto mixer equals stood. Let me think here. How do I get the mixer? How do I get this from binary data? There's actually a method to get it from binary data. What is it? It's like image cat or binary resources, something like that. I'm getting a little bit tangled up here. Um, Let me look elsewhere in my code base because I have it in another place. So let me go to background .cpp, scratch champ logo. Where is logo? All of this. Where is my logo? So, logo. There we go. Scratch. Okay, cool. So I got this. Yeah, juice image cache get from memory. That's what I'm looking for. I always forget about this. So mixer equals juice image cache get from memory. Get from memory. And then I will do this. And then we will do if mixer dot is valid, I think it's called, is valid. What's happened here? Oh, I'm missing a parentheses. Yeah, when you see the formatting go all crazy like that, that means you're missing a bracket somewhere. So if the mixer is valid, then we'll do set image, which is a method in the image component class, and mixer, and then we'll do an else jassert false, like that. So that will actually, so I'm actually just going to clean this up just a little bit, and I'm going to actually do something. I'm actually just going to do jassert mixer is valid. That will save us a couple lines of code. So what we'll do is we'll get an assertion if we haven't properly loaded that. So now I'm going to do a void paint. So we got the graphics reference, and we'll do, this is override, and then I'm just going to do the same thing that I did in mixer status, which is going to be that I'm going to just set a border around this so I can actually see where the mixer is supposed to be sitting in this larger mixer status class. So there we go. So I've put all that in there. And then we will have a void resized override method where we will actually just set the bounds of the mixer. No, we don't. I don't think we need to do that. So we got set image, and I think that's it. So that will set it on the component, and then that's fine. And then now we just need to change this to the mixer image class. So I got mixer image class, and then I can just take that out like that. And now let's see, I'm going to get rid of connection status and mixer name. I'm actually going to set the color of this to red just to make it different from the bounds of the actual component that's being held in. Oh, so redefinition of mixer image. What? So I must have something else called mixer image in here. So I'm just gonna call this mixer. Let's see. What's better? What's a better word than? Let me see where the other mixer image class is. Normally it'll say play data. Okay. I'll just call this mixer asset. Let's call it mixer asset. Like that. Okay. Oh, build failed. And then this just needs to be called mixer asset now. Oh no. Oh, thought there was. Did you hear that? That was like a siren. Okay, so. Oh yeah, this needs to be juice. Then too many functions to call. Expected to have. What am I doing? Come on, man. Come on, Josh. It's supposed to be on it here. Here we go. All right. So we're getting something. We're getting progress here. Changing the combo box, changing the you know, doing blinking text and everything, and what we've been stuck on for the first 30 minutes is just actually getting the mixer to actually show bigger. I love coding. So oh yeah, here we go. So I think we'll be good to go now. And then I just have to go back and actually put everything back in its proper place and try to get this show on the road. So these last parts of the build always take so long. I will unmute these. This is the only thing about doing live streams with these builds, with these larger things, is that they just take so long to build. I guess it's because it's a new image. So I always love when it actually goes through all this. Then at the very end, it does like a build fail, and you have a linker error or something like that. So here we go. So now we'll do login. Okay, so there's no image there. We see that it shows the width of it, and so we need to do some work to actually make this show back up. So I think I have to do set image. No, I did set image. So going back here. So do I have to do? So this is. Oh, I have to do like a set, not set bounds. Let's see. So isn't it draw image or something like that? So let's have a look here. So it's in the graphics class, I believe. So let's do graphics. I believe there's one called g.drawImage. Draw image. So there's, okay, cool. So we need just draw image. So we got draw image. The only thing about, currently this is all sitting in a juice module, and one of the disadvantages of that is that you don't have uh, the privilege of autocomplete. So we got image to draw, which will be mixer, and then we have the target area, which will be get local bounds to float because it has to be in float. And then we got the rectangle placement. I'll do, oh, actually this is just a, this is an optional argument, so I'll just keep that the same. So now we will rebuild that. Hey Florian, good to see you. How's it going? Yep. So we're looking at doing layouts at the moment, even though we aren't getting very far. That's a great question, Martin. I don't know. It would be really awesome if I could figure out a way to get the autocomplete to actually work in the modules. Maybe there's something on the forum about that. Let's have a look. Forum. It would be really cool. So let's do Xcode module autocomplete. Let's see here. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, I think a good resource, a good resource would actually be the Discord. Let's ask in the Discord. So to know how to get auto complete to work when working in a module. Okay. So we have this thing still building for eternity. Yeah, let's see if we can get some help here. Okay. So you got cleaning. Cool. Thanks for tuning in, Martin. I hope you're well. And okay, here we go. We're back in here. Logging in. Okay, cool. We got it to show up. Awesome. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to move, it's all wonky at the moment, but now we're going to move it and move it back into the where we were with the rest of the UI. So I will do this. So let me see here. Just figuring out what to redo and what to undo here. So now we've got this. Now we've got the hardware setup that actually holds all of this. I'm just gonna undo our coordinates here. There we go. Now we're just gonna rebuild and we're gonna see where where we're at with that. So hopefully, so we're getting there now. Starting to get there with the first thing. This is the only thing. This is why I was actually looking at React for building these UIs. Uh, Except I'm just so far into this app now that it, and I hardly know any JavaScript, so it would just take forever for me to do it. And I don't think that React Juice is quite there yet with being what's the word, um, fully reliable. I guess like it's about to go into alpha or into beta. So big shout out to Nick for React Juice and this project that he's working on. It's very promising, and I really hope that we can actually do some more with it, because then you can actually just do hot reloading with the UIs, which would save loads of time. That would save a lot of time. But to go back and to reset all of this stuff as to set up this whole front end in React, it would take a long time. Oh, Jess says I'm ready to help with JS. Oh man, I would love some help actually on this. Yeah, I wish I knew JavaScript better. JavaScript's actually a lot of fun. It's a lot of it's so modular, isn't it? It's actually almost the polar opposite of C++. C++ is so rigid, and everything has to be, you have to have a type for it, and it's JavaScript is just like put anything anywhere, and yeah, that scares the heck out of me. So what's going on here? So it's building this thing. It says it's running it, but I'm not seeing it. So let's try it again. As long as it doesn't crash on me, we're good to go. Okay, it's working. It's thinking about doing something. And I think it's just taking a while to load. Oh, here we go. So going back to where we audio programming with 4 gig RAM. Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. Ooh, Scratch Champion quit by accident. Wonder what happened there. Um, cool. So our mixer has shown up. Now it's starting to show up in kind of an aspect ratio that we're expecting. So now I'm just going to actually make this bigger. So we have the red rectangle, which is actually, that's a component that's sitting within this larger white rectangle. So now we're going to try to actually just work with that a little bit. So we're going to go back to mixer status. And what I will do is, I really like, so this is the only thing about set bounds relative that can be messed up. Because see, I like this now, right? I think the width of it is cool, but obviously it needs to extend out a little bit. So maybe if I just make it 0.75 maybe, and then we got this connection status, which was at 0.52. So I'm going to move this to 0.8. So that'll give a little bit of space, and then I will keep I'll keep the mixer name out for a minute because we'll just try to do connection status. Um, yeah, so advice for audio programming when using 4 gig of RAM. Ooh, that is a tough one. Um, yeah, that's a great question. I don't really know. Um, I mean, 4 gig. Thing is that four gig of RAM. Um, 4 gig of RAM. Actually, people used to code on that, didn't they? I mean, I would just say that it just really goes down to the size of the application. I mean, you could do simple stuff on 4 gig of RAM. You know, you couldn't. I mean, I don't know. People, when you think about it, developers have coded dolls on less than 4 gig of RAM. You know, so I don't know that 4 gig of RAM would really be such a huge limitation. I mean, maybe the IDE just takes a lot of RAM to actually run. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. George is asking, why did I choose modern design over skeuomorphic? Well, the main reason is because I think, especially for a DJ app, uh, doing skeuomorphic may look a little bit dated. Um, and that with a DJ application, it really has to be about performance over aesthetic, I think. Uh, so that's the main reason. And I think I also kind of followed a little bit of the thought, maybe just the trend of other DJ apps, which is to go skeuomorphic. So if you look at like Serato, that um, you know, they have a modern design. So this is still a little bit scrunched up. We're starting to get there though. Um, I should probably extend this down a little bit, the bounds of the actual component itself. So let's do that. But I'll show you here in a minute what I mean. So hardware setup, we got mixer status, that's 0.4 at the moment. Let's make this 0.6 in width, but I'll show you what I mean. Uh, Code on Notepad. Yeah, I actually know somebody who actually codes C++ with the command line, which I find to be very admirable. That's awesome. I wish I just love autocomplete too much. That's my problem. Is that I really love the autocomplete. Uh, yeah, I'm trying to open Serato at the same time as doing all of this. Hopefully this it doesn't wig out on me. But this is Serato, right? So this is the reason that I've chosen to go for more of a modern design. Um, you know, you can see this. You can see the aesthetic of it. So I've looked at kind of going that type of direction. I have some plans to maybe change from divert from this direction and make it different. But this is kind of the starting point that I was really thinking with this. Um, yeah, yeah. And if you look at a lot of DJ apps, a lot of DJ apps have this type of aesthetic to it. But I think there's stuff that I think that I could do to make it different as well. So yeah, yeah. Coding C++ in Vim. Wow, double nightmare. That would be great. Let's see if anybody. Oh, oh, wow. Does it? So Eyal, big shout out to Eyal, amazing developer, and always in the audio programmer community. And he says that he's actually that autocomplete works for him. Maybe I've set up the module, the actual module wrong. That's possible. So okay, so let's have a look at where we're at here now. We're logging in. Cool. So that looks in proportion. It looks like it could be maybe a little bit shorter. I'm not sure. Maybe I need to do keeping proportion. There's a rectangle placement, which is fill destination, I think. Let's have a look. So let's see here. So image component. So I'm just going to look at image component, see if it has flags for how to actually fill the set image placement. This is what I'm looking for. Set image placement, new placement. So let's do set image placement. I don't know if I'm better off doing that or yeah, let's try it. Set image placement, juice, rectangle, placement. Then we want let's see, we currently is centered. You know what? How do I do two flags? Because I want it centered and I want, let's see, fill destination. Is it like this? I'm going to try this. I'm not sure if this is right or not. Centered, choose rectangle placement. Oh, oh, thank you very much, Kyle. Do I need this other bracket though? Or is it just like this? I learned something today. Fill destination. Is it like that? Thank you very much, Kyle, for that. If that works, because that's something that I've always wondered, but I never actually did. So okay, so we're trying to do that. Reading through people complaining about Xcode. I like Xcode actually. I really need to try C-Line. So let's see if EL has anything else to say. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is actually right, Kyle. The way that you've told me to do this. Juice. So yeah, this is the only thing about C++ is UI stuff takes so long. Takes forever. Um, but yeah, we will get there. We shall prevail and we shall overcome. Let's see here. We are getting there. Okay, here we go. That's right. It's a bitwise operator, isn't it? Cool. So that looks fine. And then the connected status looks good to me. Maybe it could be a bit higher. So maybe I'll move that back to point. So it's at 0.8 at the moment. Let's move it back to 0.7. And then this we will make, the mixer name like that. And then let's be brave and let's try to actually remove the borders. Let's see how this is going. Does any good music version control exist? That's a good question. I don't. Uh, I guess theoretically, Git would be able to. You'd be able to do it with Git. Uh, do music version control with Git. I imagine that would probably be a lot for music producers to actually figure out. But theoretically, I guess in theory, you could do it with. You could do music production version control with Git. I was actually curious about that when I was producing music. I think I might have tried it actually, and I think it worked with Ableton projects. Because at the end of the day, it's just all data, isn't it? It's not like it doesn't matter what type of data it is. That'd be a cool app actually, wouldn't it? Like music version control. It'd be like music production hub, music production hub, maybe. Um, yeah, but you give it a nice interface where people could just maybe drag and drop it, or maybe just um, like maybe they could just take their project file and just drag and drop it, and it would just automatically do it. Surprised nobody's come up with that yet. I think that's actually a pretty good idea. Then it'd be great. Then you could have like open source, open source music production projects. Surely somebody has done that. Somebody has to have done that. I think a lot of people are trying to figure out the real time collaborative nature of music production at the moment. So here we go. What happened to my image? That is, oh, that's right. I know what I've done. I commented out the actual draw image. Silly me. All right, here we go. So I will put that here. Get rid of all this business. And then my mixer status, so my mixer name, I need to put this at 0.8. Let's try that. Yeah, that would be awesome. Somebody must have done open source music production um, projects. Open source music. So, open source music making tools. Hmm, that would be cool. Just download somebody else's Ableton project. No, they have stuff like that. It's just I don't think that I don't think that it's thought of in the same sort of terms uh, as the way that we think of GitHub. But they I know that they do have services out there or platforms out there where you can actually um, get somebody else's project and and contribute to it. Yeah, Splice has something like that. Yeah, yeah. I guess Splice would be probably the closest thing to it. They've done a good job in making it because I think you can actually download the projects in uh, any DAW format. So it has it where it's like stems, and then you can actually download it in different formats. I think. I mean, that's a genius idea right there. The way that they did that, and the way they did where it actually shows the plugins as well. I mean, that's really pretty phenomenal, actually. Okay, here we go. Build succeeded. And our UI hopefully is perfect and we'll be good to go. So there we go. Just this connected needs to move down a little bit. But this is good. Mixer size looks nice. Yeah, that looks nice. This just needs to move down a bit and we'll be all right, I think there. I'm pretty happy with that. So connection status 0.75. So I'll build that, and then in the meantime we can start looking at the next thing that we want to do, which would be to have, so there's a lot that I want to do on this screen. Uh, there's there's a MIDI learn panel that I would like to have if if there's no mixer that's connected that is recognized, then there's a MIDI learn panel where the user can actually do a MIDI learn to learn the controls for the mixer. That would be that would be pretty awesome. You just have to set up the buttons and things like that. That would probably take a little while to do. That could be a good next step actually. So maybe let's think about that, how that would work. Because we're actually at a crossroads where we could actually either do a screen that just says no mixer connected, please connect supported mixer, or you don't have any, or you don't have that, and you have a MIDI learn panel that pops up, and that the user could do a MIDI learn to connect their software. The only thing about that is that you have to read the time code as well. How would the time code, how would that work? I'd need to find a mixer that actually doesn't have, that actually isn't, I haven't actually supported, and then test that out. You know, the other option is that only supported mixers could use the software. I mean, I'm kind of leaning in that direction at the moment, but that's kind of where I'm thinking at the moment, just to simplify it. Then I can come back around with more sophisticated setups. So here we go. We're logging in. There it is. I feel pretty good about that. Is that spacing right? I mean, if I wanted to be really picky, I think that connected isn't quite centered between. I mean, that is like pretty nitpicky for now, though. Connected isn't quite set between the Pioneer DJ MS9 text and the mixer itself, but that's just being picky. I think it's good enough for the time being. Then we have this left and right setup. I've been really debating on what to do here, because both of these lines. So let's come back to that. I can come back to that later. But now when I switch the mixer off, the options disappear. Maybe this line should disappear as well. And then it says, please connect mixer to begin. I'm almost thinking like that should be in the center, and that should be blinking text. And then we connect it. Thank you. It's coming along. It's getting there. Yeah. So I'm going to switch that off. So this line that draws between turntable select, I think that should be gone actually. You know, maybe this option, this right here, should maybe not even be there if if you can't actually select these options. So this should probably just disappear, right? This should disappear and the line should disappear. So let's do that next. So I will do this, and then let's do so let's see. So Jess has a suggestion. How about not using the image and just using the MIDI connection data to identify the connected mixer, then do an automatic image assignment to that specific mixer. I mean, like a mixer database. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was cool to have the picture of the actual mixer. I thought that it looked like, oh, it's identified the hardware that I actually have. There's something aesthetically about it that I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, that's the reason why I went for that. Um, we also need to add a an option for other options on the uh, for other configurations on the mixer, but we can come back to that maybe. So let's see. So hey Anthony, good to see you. I'm actually just working through some UI stuff on my app at the moment. Um, yeah, so nothing big. It's not really a tutorial of sorts. It's actually just me kind of coding through some UI decisions. So okay, so let's go to hardware setup, which is the actual whole uh, the whole display. And what I'm going to do is, let's see. So we got draw turntable selection path. So that's the selection path. And then we also have So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this. I'm going to put this into the is mixer connected. I can get rid of this now. And now, let's see. So we got the turntable settings. And what we want to do is we want to make that, we want to set that to not visible if there is no setup that's actually visible. So we will do if, so we will do this, bring this back down here, make sure that our hardware is connected, and we will just say if not is mixer connected. Or actually I can just do this. And then put all of this in here. Oh, actually, so let's think about this. The only one that I want to be not visible is the turntable settings, unless the mixer is connected. So there we go. We will build this now. And we will see. We shall see. So how many people we got watching? 24. Hey, 24 people. How's it going? I hope you're enjoying this live stream. Please excuse the long build times. I wish there was something I could do about them, but between the live streaming and the C++ build times and things like that makes it a challenge. But yeah, we're actually just working on the UI of this app that I've been working on. It's a DJ app, and oh, I should shut down my Photoshop. That's probably hogging some memory. So yeah, so we're working through that and trying to make it a little bit cooler. I'd love to do some animations on the way that and you'll see when I pull it up. So we have these lines that connect when the hardware is actually connected. It'd be cool when you actually connect the mixer to do some sort of animation where the line draws from the turntable to the connection. That would be that would be interesting. I'll try to keep it. I'm going to keep it kind of basic for now. You know, not try to get too complicated at one time. So, yeah. How's everybody doing out there? Everybody doing all right? On this Saturday afternoon in England here, it's actually a beautiful day out. I should probably try to get outside a little bit today. Yeah, so let's see. So we have this setup screen. So let's see, let's have a look here. So that's the larger screen. So that's the actual background. So there are actually a couple layers to this that are happening at the moment. So finally, it's here. And logging in. Cool. So, this is still this is still visible. Interesting. So I wanted this to be invisible. I wanted this to be invisible. Um, so I'm just gonna do. I think it's because it's not calling resize. It's called. It only calls resize when you actually resize it. So I would imagine that if I actually tried to resize it, that it would disappear. So I'll show you what I mean. So if I log in and then where are we? So now if I try to resize this, I imagine this will disappear. Oh no, it doesn't. Interesting. So let's see. I must have. My logic must be flawed here. So we have the hardware set up. And oh, this is wrong. So I'm actually setting it if the mixer isn't connected. This is actually backwards. Um, so this should be if is mixer connected. So that's what I want there. And so that's fine. We could do some more. We can do some more work in the meantime here before we try to rebuild. I'll actually just start rebuilding it. And um, so the next thing is, at the moment we have this please connect mixer if the mixer isn't actually connected. And what I'm thinking is, at the moment it's at the bottom of the screen, and what I would like to do is have it in the middle of the screen. Maybe that will be just a component of its own. And I think what I'd like to have it do is to blink, um, to actually just blink, and while it's saying mixer isn't connected. So that will be an interesting task for us. Um, so I'm thinking about how we can approach that. So what we'll do is we will do a new file, and do I need to have it? Does it need to be its own? Yeah, I'm going to do it as its own file. So let's see, what shall we call this? Shall we call this connect mixer screen? Oh, I need to. They've actually changed this in recently in Xcode, where you actually have to call it .cpp or .h. So I'm going to do connect mixer screen .h. So there we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do pragma once. So this header file only loads once, and then this is in a module or in a namespace called Scratch Champion. And so this is namespace Scratch Champ. And then I'm going to make the class connect mixer screen. This is going to inherit from public juice component because this is going to be a visual element. And then we will make private and public areas. Okay, so our file, our project is actually just building. So let's see, I'll show you what we have at the moment. So now going in, takes a second. So yeah, so now so now we have the options have now disappeared, and we have this please connector to begin, please connect mixer to begin. We're now going to make that a something that's actually going to show that's actually going to be in front of all of this, in front of this DJ setup. And so we'll probably make it like a transparent, like a opaque opaque black color. So it's kind of shadowing the middle of the screen, just to show you what happens when we actually connect the mixer. So I connect it. It'd be nice to have like a connecting. Ooh, where did this go? This went way out of bounds. What the heck happened there? Did I hit something? Did I change the bounds of that by accident or something? I don't know what I did. That's hilarious. Yeah, interesting. What the heck happened there? So let's go back to setup screen, or hardware setup actually. So I don't really like this. I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. I don't like this logic sitting in resized. I think that this should actually be sitting in paint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this logic here. And then we will have something like if, so we don't want to be setting the visibility to true all the time, right? So actually, I want this in the change listener. So let's go, so let's look at this. I can actually have the component make itself visible or invisible when you think about it. So if I go to turntable settings, so this is a change listener. Oh, I have it set enabled. So I can do this. Let's do this. Set visible is mixer connected. So that should actually take care of it. So that's fine. Then in the meantime, let's do this connect mixer business. So we have hardware set up where we are drawing this please connect mixer to begin just in the center of the screen, and it's in orange. So I'm gonna copy this for now, and then I will actually just comment that out. And let's go back to this connect mixer class. And so what we need to do is we need to make a void paint. We're just going to use this, override this function that comes from the component class. So it's actually juice graphics. So this will be override. Then we'll do void resize. I don't think I actually even need that at the moment. So I will just leave that like that. And then let's do void connect mixer screen paint graphics. Just going to put this here. Juice. Now maybe what I'll do is I'll actually route in the settings actually in the constructor so that it will know the status of this is the only thing that I always think about this, right? Should each component be aware whether it needs to make itself visible or invisible, and that everything should be, all of these subcomponents should they all be change listeners, listening for changes from the settings, or should there just be one central class that actually manages the behavior of all these subcomponents? So there's one kind of parent component, and that parent component sets the visibility or invisibility of each one of the components. I'm leaning towards the first way, because that feels, I don't know, but then you have a whole bunch of listeners that are listening to changes in this one class. So the question is, should there be loads of listeners in smaller classes, or should there be one listener and then you're just passing that data down through the classes, and the classes don't actually have any knowledge of what's happening with the data? They're just displaying or not displaying. But then again, thinking deeper about this, some of these classes actually do need to know other pieces of information, because what happens is that when these options are changed, they need to relay the changes back to the data, to this settings class. So that seems to point more towards each individual component having knowledge of the settings and being able to relay or pass changes back to the settings, the data class. So the data class is listening to changes from the UI. So just to summarize my question, is there one class that would just be the listener, or would it be each individual class that would be listening for changes from the settings? I think each individual class, because then you can work on it on a component by component basis. Otherwise, you're going to have this huge class that's going to have all of this logic of what's being made visible, what's being made invisible. It's almost like each piece of the puzzle should probably just know what it needs to do or what it doesn't need to do. That feels like the better approach here. So I think that's what I'm going to go with. That's what I've done with up to this point. So I'm going to stay with that approach. So we have this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a constructor screen, and then this is going to have, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass my settings class into this class, so it has knowledge of what's actually happening. So where am I? So just going to grab this. Yeah, I think that would be the more sensible approach, because then all of the logic is kind of living in the class. The knowledge of what it needs to do when a setting is changed, the knowledge of whether it needs to make itself visible or invisible, is all self-contained in the class, rather than being contained in a parent class that contains all of that logic all at once. Because if you remove that, then now you've messed up all of your logic. Or if you change, you have all of these other classes that are dependent on the knowledge of this one class. I'd be curious to know what people think about that. Yeah, connect mixer screen, and then this is the constructor. So I'm just going to pass all of this now. Then what we will do is we need to make this. We now need to make this a change listener, so it needs to listen for changes from the settings class. So public juice change listener. Then that means that we need to have a callback, the change listener callback. I'll just copy it from my other class here. If you're wondering why all of this writing is white, it's actually a bug in Xcode. I actually have to close it out and reopen it and resave the juice project for it to actually show up in the right color. Screen. Change listener callback. I don't want to override there, so I'll just get rid of that. And then what I can do is I can do add change. So I need to make a reference to my settings. So I will do scratch. I will create a reference here, scratch champ, settings, and then what I will do is I will pass that on by doing that. And then we will do settings, add change listener. That will be listening for changes from this class. Did I do that right? Yes. So we're good. And then we will need to say, so what we want is this screen to pop up, and it will block us from choosing any other options, and it'll say, please connect mixer to begin. And so it needs to have knowledge of when the actual hardware is connected or not connected. So what we need to say is if source is equal to the address of settings, and then we will say if settings, so we need to check if the hardware is connected. Is mixer connected? And then we will say, so if it is connected, then we want set visible to be to false. If this logic is wrong, and that there should be another class that's actually controlling this behavior, it'd be great to know if anybody who's more experienced is actually looking at this. Any software architecture experts happen to be watching, it'd be good to know which way this, what would be the best approach here. So there we go. Now let's do a set. So this will be fill all. So juice, colors. So we actually have like a dark theme color. I think it's called, so let's look in our look and feel. So in style, look and feel, we have this dark tone color. So, oh, a style sheet. So we have dark tone color, and I think that's, we want medium tone color. So can I do this? Medium tone color. I always wonder if I always forget if I spelled it with O-U-R or O-R. I hope I can pull a with alpha on it. 0.5. So we'll try that. So we want it to be kind of transparent, right? So that's why we're doing this with alpha. And I think that, so now we just need to actually bring this into our parent class, which is hardware setup. So only thing is that I now need to actually add this to my module list. So we got turntable settings panel, and I guess I could put it here, include UI setup screen, connect mixer screen .h. Then we will do, oh, need to put a hashtag there. We need to do the same thing for the CPP. So I need to do that so that my setup screen, so now do we want this to be hardware setup? So hardware setup is the actual screen with the white square around it. So so not the actual big screen, but just the smaller hardware screen that kind of sits on top of the background. So now I'm going to do this right here. I'm going to do connect. Oh, did I forget the CPP? Oh, yes. Good catch. Good catch. Thank you very much, Sacred Geometry. That would have made an error that would have taken me forever to catch. So thank you very much for that. Connect mixer display, and we will say, we'll just call this connect mixer display. Then we will go here, and we will do, so I'm going to do add child component. I think it's called add child component. So let's see, I'm trying to pull up my freaking, okay. So we have this, it's going into the juice API, going into the component class. I think it's called add child component. So just want to make sure that's what it's called. Add child. Yeah, add child component. That's it. So add child component, because we want to change the visibility on this, whether this is actually, whether our hardware is actually connected or not. So hardware, oh, connect mixer display. Connect mixer display. There we go. And then, yeah, once again, I'm not quite sure if I should be putting the logic of whether this mixer should be connected in the in this parent class, or whether it should be self-contained in its own class. So at the moment I have it self-contained in its own class. So I think that should work. So we're going to try to build this. I'm just going to have a little proofread through all of this while I'm actually doing this. So I got it as a change listener. Let's see, we got what's happened. Connect, so it doesn't know connect mixer display. So let's see here. So this is in hardware setup. Hardware setup is, I wonder if I need to rebuild this. So I'm just going to close this out, save it. I think it might need to rebuild just to just so it knows that that class is there now, the new class. So it's doing something. It's thinking about things, and yeah. So just waiting for it to do its thing. Wow, it's taking a long time. So what's going on here? I hope it doesn't crash on me. It says not responding. I'm going to wait for a minute for it to actually let's see what the Discord has to say in the meantime. Auto completion in Juice probably doesn't work because those header files are all missing includes. Includes aren't missing. So I'm just so this is a DJ app that I'm working on, and we're just working on the UI section at the moment where you can change the settings. And so at the moment we're working on a splash screen that pops up if there's no mixer that's actually connected. And okay, great. So we're here now. So at the moment we're working on a splash screen that just says that the mixer isn't, that there's no hardware connected if there's no hardware mixer that's actually connected. And yeah, that's what we're working through at the moment. So we got build failed, connect mixer display. Did I misname the class? Connect mixer screen, that's what it's called. Sorry. Screen. So here we go. So we got connect mixer, I'll call it screen. And then in here, I will call it screen again. Connect mixer screen. And I actually did forget something, which is that I need to have this in my resize. So connect mixer screen dot set bounds relative 0.0f, and I will just set this to the same. I'm actually going to do add and make visible here. So add and make visible. So I'm making it visible, but then, yeah, this is the thing is, should this control the visibility of the other component, or should the visibility of the component control itself? I've been doing it where the visibility of the component controls itself, but now I'm starting to actually have my doubts about whether that's the right approach. Starting to feel like maybe each individual component shouldn't have knowledge of its logic. It should just display or not. So let's see. Oh, sorry. No, I did that. Must explicitly. Oh, yeah, I see what I did. I forgot to actually initialize it. So we got settings, so that's fine. And then we need to actually initialize connect mixer display like that. Great. So here we go. Okay, so it's building. While it's doing that, I'm just going to reevaluate my my choice here. Oh, screen. Oh, you're good at catching these errors. Screen. There we go. So I'm just reevaluating my choice here of whether the logic of making these screens visible or invisible should be controlled by the parent component that holds all of these subcomponents, or whether it should be self-contained, whether the logic should just, yeah, that's a tough one. Starting to feel like maybe this parent class should actually hold that logic, and all the logic should just be in one place. Connect mixer screen. So this should be settings. Oh, I know what I did. So I forgot to wrap it in namespace. Scratch champ. Like this. Okay, there we go. So I've done that now. It's almost like this should reside in the parent class. But then the problem is that it's inconsistent in terms of the subcomponents, because some of the subcomponents would need to have knowledge of settings and some of them wouldn't. But maybe that's a good thing, right? Maybe I should be minimizing the knowledge of which classes are aware of the settings class and which ones aren't. So, okay. I keep getting this. So, is Mixer connected? Is a private member of Scratch Champ settings? I used it in another one. 1 second here. Maybe it's because it's const. So, okay, that's That's why. So let's do this. If is mixer connected. And then I think I might have chosen a bad name there because I keep messing it up. Connect mixer screen. Okay, so now we're building again. I'm just thinking some more about this problem. So the alternative is that we just take settings out of here. I mean, and then that is controlled by hardware setup. So let's go to hardware setup. Just feels a little bit weird having the visibility or invisibility set itself. So you got DJ setup. DJ setup display is another one as well. Now DJ setup display, you actually need to have knowledge of which turntable is actually enabled. So you have to have knowledge of settings there. It's a question of consistency or of because there's part of me that really likes having all of these subcomponents be knowledgeable of the same thing, and I wouldn't like the inconsistency of having some of them having knowledge and some of them not. I don't know. Maybe that's just an obsessive compulsive thing. Okay, let's see if this looks any good or not. So this please connect mixer to begin is, oh, I've put it at the bottom. So I think this is actually showing. I just need to put it in the center of the screen. So let's put it in the center of the screen now. So this will be just get local bounds rather than remove it from the bottom. I'm going to make the alpha a little bit more, so this is going to be a little bit more pronounced. Let's try this again. And yeah, I need to read up on some more architecture stuff to see the way that it's advised to actually set this up. Yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, what would the downsides? What would the disadvantages of that be? Yeah, I can't think of any disadvantages of having this class have knowledge of what's happening in settings and making itself visible or not. I mean, I suppose one disadvantage would be that the parent class, that when you're looking at the parent class hardware setup, that hardware setup doesn't actually have any. So hardware setup doesn't actually have anything here that says, "Hey, this subcomponent is going to be setting itself visible or invisible." So that could be confusing for the user or for another developer reading this code base, because they'd be thinking there's this thing and sometimes it's visible and sometimes it's not, but it's controlled. It's not controlled in this component. So let's see here. Let's see how we're looking. Okay, I mean, It's cool. I like the opacity. The opacity seems cool. That's uh that's that's pretty good. I mean, this Connect mixer to begin is a bit like the font is a bit lame. It's not very good. Um, but that's something they can come back around and fix. Is that just regular? Maybe if I made it bold, I should make it bold like the way that I have hardware set up. So let's do that. So I will put this here. I think I can do this now. This is my new trick that I've learned today. Bitwise operator like that. Boom. And then just get rid of this. Maybe if I make it a bit bigger as well. Let's try making it 100. Is 100 too big? Maybe let's make it 70. Let's make this 0.9 so it's almost solid. We'll try that. Then next we'll have a look at the timing. Trying to set it up on a timer. But, yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out actually. I'm going to actually just cut this. I've changed my mind on it now. I'm actually going to put this here. So this will be Connect Mixer Screen. Not sure if it's actually going to compile successfully or not, because I'm just changing a whole bunch of stuff in here now. So I am so Connect Mixer Screen. I'm now going to not make dependent on this class, so I'm just going to get rid of this, which means I get rid of this. And which means I need to get rid of this, which means I can actually get rid of this whole constructor actually. I like it, saving code. That's pretty cool. So we don't actually need the constructor there anymore. Doesn't need to have the change listener callback anymore. And then let's see here. So then in hardware display, I don't need to have this passing in the knowledge of that anymore. Yeah. So that seems fine now. So looks like there was an error on this get current font bolden. Maybe that actually isn't going to work. Maybe it has to be two. I'm pretty sure there's a way to do it in one line like this. Jason Leonard, hey man, just wanted to say thanks for your amazing free content. Oh, thank you very much, Jason, for watching. I hope that it's helpful for you. It's definitely helpful for me. It helps me learn some. So I appreciate you tuning in and watching. So we're going to get an error here. So it's just a question of exactly how we can fix it. I'm wondering if I need to just put this in brackets like this. I think I've seen this before, something like this. But let's get the error first and see what what the error actually is. So it's taking a minute to build. Oh, thanks a lot, Florian. Florian says, I like the atmosphere of your streams. Yeah, you should. You should get on, do your live streams. Oh, is it another parameter? Oh, okay. So let's see. Oh, I see what you're saying. So I need it. So it needs to be two separate ones. Is that what you're saying? So like this. G.set fonts. So you have to do it like that, right? Oh, oh, you could do it like that. Oh, cool. So G.set font. So I'm learning something here from Sacred Geometry. Big shout out to him. Font. And then I just do this. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back to this. I know this. I know this way will work, but let's go to the API. This has always confused me actually. So let's look at the font class. So juice. So we got font. Font height. Style flags. The question is, do we need? Oh, maybe I could do get current font, which actually returns. Oh, I think I know what I need to do here. So G get current font dot bolden dot set height. '70. What about like that? I'm going to rebuild this again and see if that works. That I think that should work actually. Yeah, I actually need to straighten out my whole look and feel font situation. It's a little bit. It could be better. It could certainly be better. I've been doing it individually by class. Really, the right way should be that I should just have these in my style sheet and just pull them up, or just in some sort of header where I can actually call on them. So we got mixer status. So let's see. How else can we refactor this? So DJ setup display has to know stuff about settings. Turntable settings needs to know stuff about settings as well. What about mixer status? Does mixer status need to know things? So let's see here. Yeah, that's a lot of logic. That should probably just. But once again, this is kind of inconsistent. Setting the visibility and invisibility of these items isn't really consistent. I don't really like that. Oh, looks like it doesn't looks like that doesn't work. Okay. All right. I give up for the moment on that. I'm just going to do what I know works well. Something good to explore though. Something good that I'll actually come back to. So let's go back to this. So setting certain stuff visible and invisible depending on, but maybe, yeah. So I'm setting the mixer visibility or invisibility based on whether the hardware is connected or not. But I think that's fine. Thank you, Wave Morpher says, want to second that on the good atmosphere of the stream, great content, good mix between tutorial and live coding problem solving, and even podcast format. Oh, thank you very much, Wave Morpher. That really means a lot. Uh, Sacred Geometry says some of the methods return fonts, others return void. Yeah, I thought returning the font, the bolden font, get. Oh, so I think get current font returns a font object, but then bolden actually returns void. Yeah, so I think you're right there. So boldened. Oh no, that returns a font object as well. And then I did with height. So why did that not work? That was weird. Yeah, with height returns a font. Hmm. Yeah, I had it get current font dot bolden. Bolden returns a font, and then I did with height 70, but it didn't work. Weird. Yeah, I don't know. I know there's a fancy way to do it. Maybe I did it in the wrong order. All right, so let's see what failed now. So we got, uh-oh, undefined symbol. Oh, that's because I. So when you get this is a good one that'll drive you wild and have your head spinning if you don't know what this actually is. So this is a linker error. It says undefined symbol. And then if you can't see it, it says scratch champ change listener callback. So what happened here was that I deleted the I deleted the class that I'd inherited from. So I have change listener callback that I'm inheriting from. I have this or I have change listener that I'm inheriting from. I have change listener callback, which is a pure virtual function that I'm overriding. But then I actually deleted the change listener callback function. And so because you have it declared in the header but not implemented in the CPP, you will actually get a linker error like that. And that will actually really drive you crazy if you if you're not sure exactly what's happening there. So that's a good one. That's a good one that used to always give me nightmares when it came to errors. This could probably be a struct actually. This connect mixer screen, but that's okay as a class. But yeah, those linker errors can really give you problems. So let's see what's happening with everybody in the Discord. I love this, seeing discussions like this. This is awesome stuff that I have absolutely no idea about. Always really cool to see people connecting and helping each other out. Awesome stuff. So this is still building. Hopefully we'll do this, and then I think I'll work on the blinking screen functionality for this. Actually, we could probably start working on that while we're actually doing doing this. So let's see. Just thinking here. Just thinking what. So we're going to need a value that's going to be changing or interpolating. So it's going to be, so we just need a counter that's going up, that's going to be changing the alpha of the font. The question, so there are a couple questions here. So question is if this class should have its own timer, if it should have its own timer, or whether that should be worked all the way up the tree into the app class, into the app level, and managed, and then so you're taking the timer and you're passing all of that all the way back down. I don't know what I'm saying, man. We'll figure it out here in a second. So let's have a look at this. So we got this login. So now we've logged in, and what do we got? Cool. So this looks a little bit more like it. So we got this connect mixer to begin. This could probably be, and then let's see what happens when I actually connect the mixer. Nice. So yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. We're getting somewhere. Yeah, please connect mixer to begin. Yeah, I would like this to blink. So let's see if we can get this blinking, right? So first thing that we would have is we have this draw text. So we have this set color. So we could probably do theme color orange dot with alpha, and then this will be let's call this text alpha. So we will have a float that we'll call text alpha. So do private float text alpha. And we will set it equal to 0.0. Actually, I'll start it off at 1.0. Now the question becomes, how are we going to actually get this how are we going to change this alpha and just make it blink? So the login, yeah, thanks for the question, Wave Morpher. So Wave Morpher asks, why the login? Is this a commission project or your own initiative? So this is my own app. So this is what I've been working on for quite some time now. And yeah, the login is just really the way the app starts. So the app starts with a login screen where the user, and we actually have that set up already where it has server connection and you can have like a username and that sort of thing. I just have it set up where I just hit the login, where I just hit the login button. I don't need to put in any information. But I could actually also set it up where it just goes straight to that screen. That would probably be faster. But yeah, let's do this first, right? So we have this alpha. It's at 1. It's at 1, and we just want it to go from 0 to 1, right? The question is, so there are a couple questions. One question is, if we should have a timer in this class itself that will control what this alpha is. Okay, I've never actually set up 2 timers in an app before. I mean, I think I'm leaning towards having the the timer in a parent class, and the reason I say that is because I think that eventually I'm going to want to have other visual components that are going to do stuff like have timing aspects to them in the way that they show up and in the way that they actually um, display. And this is like kind of wishful thinking, but I'm thinking that's the direction that I want to go eventually. So okay, so now I'm thinking this setup screen is going to all be on a timer, which it is. That's actually in the larger class, which is the component class in our main component. Then in my main component, I actually have a timer callback. And let's see. So where do I actually start the timer? Start timer. So I actually started in the setup screen, on the setup screen. So the screen that you've been looking at the whole time is actually the setup screen. So now that's cool, because now what we can do is we can actually start working with this, and we can say if the screen is equal to the setup screen. So what I will do, I'll actually fold all of these. Pretty big class. So we got timer callback. Maybe I'll start here. If is setup. And then if auto screen, I'll call it setup. Setup equals get setup screen. So these are just checks just to ensure that we're actually in our setup screen, and we're doing. So what I want to do now is I need to have where the screen. So let's have a look at what I did with screen process. If it'll go. So let's do. I will just go to this in a different window actually. So let's go up here to source, UI, and then play screen, and then process. Okay, so I have this set behavior, set player UI behavior, set model UI behavior. So that feels like a sensible name for a method. So I'm going to actually go back down to where I was in my setup screen. So setup screen is what actually owns all of these components. So it actually owns this hardware setup display, which is basically the setup. And now what we're going to do is we're going to set up a new method. I'll just call it process. So let's see here. So we got get lesson select button. So I'm going to do void process. It's just going to be a method that I'm going to make up. Void setup screen process. And so now let's go back to main component. So now I'm just working between few different classes here. So now I'm going to say setup process, even though that doesn't mean anything right now. Just going to try to build that, make sure we don't have any build errors. And while we're doing that, let's just think about what we're doing here. So setup screen process means that we're going to have, so now we're just passing, so now what we're doing is we're just passing data down from the very top layer. So main component is kind of our main app, right? Where we have this timer that's happening in 60 hertz, 60 times a second. And so now what I'm doing is I'm passing all of this back down the chain down to my child components. So this is what the intention is. So now I've got a setup screen that is happening, and I'm calling a process. And now what I need to do is I need to pass that down even further. So setup screen holds the hardware screen, right? And then so we need to have a method that's called hardware setup display dot process. Process like that. But we haven't made that up yet, so now we need to make that up. So we'll say public methods, and once again we will do void process. All of this business, and I will do void. The class that we're in is hardware setup process. And now once again we have the main app that is at the very top layer that has this timer callback, and now we're just passing everything down. Now we're just passing all of this down the line, right? So the main app owns this setup screen. The setup screen owns a hardware screen. The hardware screen owns all of this, the connect mixer screen. So that screen that we had that says connect mixer, it owns the turntable settings, it owns the setup display, and the mixer status. So I'm just going to show you here as the app actually comes up, because I've been building it for the past 5 minutes. So yeah. So we have our login screen, and now I'm just going to log in. And it's logging in, right? So think of the main app as like this whole thing. Basically the main app owns everything, right? Then you have the setup screen. The setup screen is the thing that owns the logo and owns everything else is contained. Then we have hardware setup, which is a component within that, and hardware setup owns all of this stuff: the turntables, displays, the mixer. This please connect mixer to begin. It owns all the logic for all of the when I actually connect the mixer, and when I can do left and right turntable and all of that. So hardware setup actually owns all of this. Now each one of these is an individual class. So you have the settings, you have this turntable display that's all here, and then you have this mixer display that's here, right? So now the idea is that when I turn this off, this please connect mixer to begin needs to be on a blinking timer now. So now what I need to do is I need to pass so I have this timer that's happening in the main app, and now what I'm doing is I want this I need something in this mixer this connect mixer display that is actually reacting to a timer, and that's all I'm doing is I'm just passing all of this back down into the actual connect mixer screen, right? So connect mixer screen now needs to have its own process method. So once again, we have hardware setup dot process, and now I need to have a connect mixer screen dot process. So here we are, connect mixer screen dot process. Of course, that doesn't exist yet. We need to actually create that. So now we do void process like that. And then here, now we will do void connect mixer screen process. And here, finally, now that we've passed this all the way down, here is where we actually get to do what we need to do, right? So this needs to be something like text alpha. So let's just pseudocode it, right? So let's just say increase text alpha, and then if text alpha is greater than is greater than or equal to 1.0, and then text alpha equals 0.0. So now it just becomes a question of, okay, what should we increase text alpha by, right? Maybe 0.001? Let's try that, right? Worth a try. So, so let's say text alpha. So I'm just thinking if it should be if. So let's do if text alpha is greater than or equal to 1.0, text alpha is equal to 0.0, text alpha plus equals 0.001f. So let's try that. See how that works. So now we'll build that. See how that goes. To make things consistent on my one-line if statements, I will get rid of those brackets. I always debate whether to have those or not. So let's see here. So we are building, and while we're doing that, let's think of what other cool stuff we could do. So let's go back down to hardware setup, which is the class that actually owns all of these subcomponents. So I'm wondering if I should change the colors on. So at the moment I have the mixer and the turntable is all of that is white, right? So it's just gray if it's disabled, it's white if it's enabled. I'm wondering if I should maybe make the colors of those different. So just to give them a little bit more. The main thing is that you have the line that connects to the mixer, that's white. You have the line that connects to the turntable, and that's white as well. So it looks a bit confusing when the turntable, when the lines crisscross. So it's not really very user friendly. I think that could be a bit better. So let's take a look here. So this is hardware setup. So we have that. I mean, how much do you want to animate these things? You know, that's a question as well. I'd love to animate it, make it like shimmer and things like that. That would be really cool. But I don't know. There's a lot of other stuff to do on this app, and maybe it's not time to go that far down the line on it. But let's think here. So we have DJ setup display, which is actually what holds the that's the actual PNGs for this setup screen. So I'm thinking that maybe, let's see, set active. So I'm thinking we have this color. I think it's called theme color yellow or theme color orange. Let's have a look here. Oh, here we go. Build succeeded. Let's have a look. Let's have a look and see how we're doing on this now. It's gonna come to life someday here. So so Wave Morpher says, a bit of a C++ newbie question. I know you might have covered it recently, but how do you describe the meaning of the comma separated functions after the input arguments? Hardware setup. Hardware setup. Hardware setup. Hardware setup. I think you're talking about the initialization. I think you're talking about the initialization. So we're 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 talking about the initialization. So Okay, is that better? Are we all good now? I had to reset. I had to reset my I had to reset my OBS sound. Yeah, sorry about that. That that was because of the sound card in the app. Yeah, thanks everybody. Cool. So yeah, so now I'm rebuilding. So the reason that we got that error is because the alpha actually greater than needs to be greater than 0. So it needs to be I guess 1 or above. So that's why we were getting that error. So now we're just going to try to rebuild this. So in the meantime, while we're building that, I'm going to look at this DJ setup display and have a look at this, see if we can make this a more interesting color. Yeah. So, oh, sorry, Wave Morpher. So, okay, so you were asking, hardware setup. So if we go to the hardware setup class and go all the way up here. So I think that you're asking about line 16 through line 20, right? What this is what's called an initialization list. So let's take a look at turn turntable settings, right? Turntable settings is a class that I've created, and we see that turntable settings, the turntable settings panel, um, needs to take an argument where I have these settings, where I have this settings object that I need to pass in. What that means is that when I construct this class, when I construct an object of this class, that means that on initialization, I need to actually tell it what I need to pass in this settings argument. And so what that means is that here in here in the constructor of hardware setup, since I've created a turntable settings object, what I need to do is I need to create what's called an initialization list. And what that does is it enables me to pass in the data when this object is initializing and it's initializing all of the other objects that it owns, then it's passing in the data on initialization. And there's no other way that you can actually do that in this situation. Yeah. So I think that that's what you were asking about. Was that what you were asking about? I hope so. So okay, so now here we are. We're back here again. Let's see if this works. So we are logging in. And someday it'll log in. Oh no. I hope the same thing didn't happen. Huh. Interesting. So it's the only problem is I didn't want it to start doing that. I didn't want it to start doing that the sound loop again. That's what would have happened if I would have stuck on that assert stage too long. So now oh Yes, yes, you're right, Florian. I've messed up my logic there. So let's go back to connect mixer. Um, yeah, yeah, that doesn't make much sense, does it? So 0.01. So let's try that. Oh, 1 minus. Yeah, that could possibly work. I opt for something that's a lot more simple. Just setting it to 0.01. Let's try that. So while we're trying that, let's go back once again to the DJ setup display. So I'm thinking of changing this color here. So we got um, active color, and I have this other color. Yeah, it needs to be greater. It needs to be greater than 1 though, or greater than 0. Florian's saying that alpha equals 0 should work, but alpha needs to be greater than 0. So let me go into my style here, style sheet. So I have theme color yellow. So let's try theme color yellow as the color of the mixer. What am I using as a backend for user accounts? Actually, a friend of mine actually set up a simple server for this. I don't actually know what the architecture actually even is. Um, yeah, that's a great question. Um, so let me DJ setup display, and I'm gonna set this to theme color yellow. And then I had this idea that the line could be a gradient between the theme color and white, but that's something we can worry about in a little bit. So okay, we're building. We are building. We are getting there. Got build succeeded. I'm liking this. Let's do this. It is taking a minute to actually do this. I think I'm gonna do this and then um yes I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna do one more thing and then I think we will leave this for the day. I think I've been online for a couple hours now. So let's see. So I'm gonna do login. Hey, we got blinking text. This is pretty cool. Oh, it's still breaking though. What's going on? New alpha is greater than or equal to 0. The new alpha is less than or equal to 1.0. So what is actually happening here? So it seems like we're having okay, I got an idea. I got an idea on what to do. Um, So where am I? I've lost my place. Okay, so I'm here. So I'm just going to do a little check here, right? So theme color with alpha, and let's do text alpha less than so less than or equal to 0. So I actually want something that's multi here. So let's do this. Yeah, I'll actually, Dimitri, I'll actually show you. Dimitri actually asks from the Jew side, do I use the URL class? Uh, which I do. I'll show you exactly how that works here in just a moment. Um, so so if text alpha is less than or equal to 0.0, text alpha is equal to 0.01, else if text alpha greater than or equal to 1.0, so here we go, just doing a little bit of refactoring. Okay, that should fix it. I think there's a possibility that there could be a thread switch right after this line and right before 12, right before line 13, where text alpha would. So maybe, I'm thinking about thread switching right now. Oh, no, I don't know why. Yeah, these actually need to be switched around, don't they? So because if it's 99, so I need it to be more like this, don't I? I'm going to do 2 checks. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but hmm. I mean, that's the hack. That's the hack right there. I mean, there's a proper way to do this, isn't there? I know some senior developers looking at me and saying, "Don't repeat yourself." I'm going to start this off at 0.01 actually. 0.01. Hmm. Well, we're gonna try this. I mean, I should probably just extrapolate if I yeah. I'm thinking that there's like a thread switching that may be happening sometime between line 12. So before there was a situation where maybe it could have been less than 0 or greater than 1, and then it does a thread switch before it actually before the actual if statement, something like that. Yeah. Hmm. So we'll do that. In the meantime, let's do this. So I'm just looking at DJ setup display, and now we have. I'm gonna make the mixer when it's active theme color yellow, and then in hardware setup where I have these lines that are drawing. I want to do a gradient. Why would the renderer paint care if it's outside the bounds? Wouldn't it clamp where it deals with the alpha? That's because in the juice class for the alpha, it has an assert that is making sure that it's inside those bounds. Yeah, yeah, it's inside the actual with alpha call that it has the assert. Oh, my dog's doing something. Hold on 1 second. Hey, what are you doing? Come on, come on, Toasty, come on, in here. Come on, let's go. You all right? You heard another dog, didn't you? That's it. Come say hi. Come say hi to everybody. There. Everybody say hi to Toast. She's our audio programmer mascot. This is our audio programmer mascot right here. This is Toast. She knows a little bit about initialization lists, doesn't she? She sure does. You've been the star of many a audio programmer videos, haven't you? You sure have. You've been the star, right? You always make your presence known. All right, here she goes. All right. Cool. So here we are. We're back. We're back again. So let's see if we've clamped this properly. So it's a little bit slow, but it's pretty good though. I think it's decent. Yeah, I think that. What do you think of the speed? Do you think the speed is right, or should it be faster? And then let's try to connect the mixer itself. And now the mixer should be yellow. Cool, the mixer's yellow now. I thought that maybe this line could be a gradient that goes from yellow to white. Curious to see how we could do that. So um, make it a sine wave rather than a saw. Yeah. Oh yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, that could work. Yeah, let's try that. One moment. So I will do connect mixer. In my opinion, alpha shouldn't begin from. Okay, so maybe we make it like text. So maybe this. So we maybe make it like 0.05. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Nope. George says no point in having it barely legible. I agree, actually. So maybe we make it 0.05, so it's just kind of pulsing rather than doing um, rather than full on. So let's go to DJ setup display. So what I was thinking is that so I've set the, as you saw, I set the mixer color to yellow, but then we have this line, and the line is all white. I was thinking of maybe making it where it starts off yellow and then it slowly is like a gradient to white. So I've done that before. I'm trying to remember exactly how that works. So let's do DJ setup display, and then let's see. We have this. Actually, it's in hardware setup display. Um, so now we have this path. And let's take a look. Let's take a look at the gradient class. So I've used this before, but not in a very long time. So we got gradient color. So it's color gradient. So we have, okay. So we have color gradient. So you have color 0.1, and then you put creates a gradient object. So that creates a gradient object, and then I think we need the graphics class in here as well somewhere. So let's try this. So graphics. So gradient. Set gradient fill. I think that's the one. Set opacity. So set gradient fill. Cool. So let's try that. So here we have 2 points, right? So we have the mixer point, which is the point where it meets the mixer, and then we have the mixer status point. So I think first point would be to create a color gradient object. So we will do juice color gradient. And let's see, what's the initial arguments here? So we got color 1. So color 1 will be theme color yellow. And then we have point 1, which will be mixer point. Then we got color 2, and then point 2, and then if the color is, if we want it to be radial or not, which we do not. So color 2 will be just juice colors white, and this will go mixer status point, and then we don't need it to be radial. So now I think all I need to do is just say g.set gradient fill. And then in here I just put gradient. We will just try that. Let's try that out. So going back to WaveMorph's question about initialization list. Maybe it's not called initialization. I thought it was called initialization list. Initialization list. Yeah. So you got initializer list, not initializ. Well, I guess it's called initializer list or initialization list. Member initializer list. So I will just paste that in here for you. Let's say at WaveMorpher. Yeah, have a look at that. So I'm curious to see what this is going to actually look like. Yeah, so did you not understand what that means? Usually geek, so I know that let's have a look. C++ initializer list. All right. Sometimes the CPP reference can be a little bit dense, but I find Geeks for Geeks has a very good way of explaining things. Yeah, I would just try the I would try Geeks for Geeks. Yeah, they're pretty good with this sort of thing. Ooh, this is taking a minute to build. Cool. While we're doing that, Dimitri had asked about the URL class. So this is a little bit yeah, this one I actually started with a class or a wrapper that was actually written by another developer, Adam Wilson. I will put the link to that in the chat. So let me find that actually. So we got Adam Wilson REST request juice. So where is it? Here it is. So I will actually put you to a post from the Juice forum that actually has some great information on this. Yeah, I'll show you how I did that in a minute. Um, yeah, I'll wave more for after I go through this URL thing. I will I will show you a good example, like just like a hello world example of initialization lists. Um, we've got the app actually running again, so let us do the login. So here we go. Okay, so I wanted. What do you think of this? So this is actually supposed to be white. I didn't mean um, for that to be yellow. But yeah, what do you think of this? It's yellow but kind of goes to white. What do you think? Yay or nay? Or maybe it should just all be yellow. Maybe. And then this one could maybe this could be red. Yeah, thanks for your help, Sacred Geometry. That's a big you've been a big help. Let's have a look at what the alpha on this looks like now. So, okay, still it disappears quite a bit, but maybe I'll make it 0.7 rather than 0.5. But it's decent though. It's decent. So let's go back. So I will go back to this. I'll make a couple more little changes here. So just one or two little changes. Um, yeah, if you hold on for a second, Wave Morpher, I will actually show you. I'll show you like a real quick example, right? So let me see here. So I actually have so we got this hello that, so I'm pulling up another Xcode project here, something really small. Oh yeah, 0.5 would actually probably be better. It's all freezing on me. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't break. So it's all frozen. It's all frozen like the Disney movie. Xcode, eh? Xcode actually isn't too bad. So let's let's try. So first things first, going back down to connect mixer. Yeah, so we're going to try 0.5 there. Okay, so we'll build that in a minute. But I'm going to show you an example of an initialization list, right? So let's just do a real quick example, right? So let's erase all of this so we can start from scratch. Um, let's say that we have, I don't know, let's just say class class student, right? Let's say class student. And we make a constructor, right? So we're just going to say student. And let's say that when we create a student that we want the student to have a name, right? And we could say stud string name. And then, of course, we have to create these curly braces because it has to be a function. Now, let us say that we have a class called school. So, just thinking of how to do this. Hold on one second. Just thinking about the best way to do this. Um, yeah. So we'll do this, right? So we have this class called school, and in here we have student one, right? Then what I'll do is I will create a school. Okay, are you with me so far? So I've got two classes. I've got a student class and I've got a school class. And the school class contains a student. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this, and you're going to see that I'm going to get a build failed, right? So we see that we get build failed called to implicitly deleted default constructor of school, right? So it basically says implicitly deleted default constructor of school. So what I need to do is I need to make a constructor, right? It's called school, like this, right? And then we see another error. Constructor for school must explicitly initialize the member student1, which does not have a default constructor. So what does that mean? What that means is that we've created this student1, but we see that on creation of the object that it needs to take this name, right? This string called name, and we haven't actually given it a name, right? So there are two ways that you could do this. So you could do it like this. Calling to a private constructor. Oh, sorry. Calling to a private constructor of class schools. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to make this public. So we do this. That succeeds. That works, right? Or you do this, right? So then you have student one, and then this is where, so this is a constructor, right? So it's the same thing. So this is just in one file, right? So this is just a little bit different than writing it separately in a CPP and header file. But basically, what you need to do is you need to use an initializer list to actually initialize the student that you've created. So you've created a student called student1, but you haven't given it a name. So that's when you use an initializer list, and you do it like this. So you do, first one is a colon like this, and then you say student1, and now you pass it in the name like that. And now you see we have build succeeded. Okay. Now if you have two students, now you have to initialize both of those, because once again, both of them have to have a name. So we got student one, and now for subsequent objects in your initializer list, you need to use a comma. So now this is wave, right? Oh, this is student two. There we go. And now we got build succeeded. How come the student are spread over private and public like that? Okay, so it doesn't really make a difference, right? So student could be private or it could be public, like that, right? So that's really that doesn't really matter. Okay. In this particular situation, so let's say that student, let's work on this a little bit more, right? So let's say that we have a void set grade, and then this would take a stud string grade like that, right? So so now you have that method, and then you have, let's say you have void let's see, void set age, I guess. I don't know. That takes an int and age, right? So you have these. So you have these three functions. So now you have. So now let's say that there's a scenario where we say, okay, we want to give students the ability to change their age and their name, but not their grade, right? So a student should not be able to set their own grade. So how would we do that, right? So one way that we would do that is if we make the student object a private member of class school. So now what I could do is I can give the student or another developer access to setting the grade, or setting the age, or setting the name of the student without giving them access to the student itself, where they can set the grade, right? So then there's a question: is this just one way of doing things, or is it the only way that works in this use case? Seems a bit like using the new keyword for constructor. It is. I guess it is. It's really just that you. It's really just that you need to give that in order for the student, in order to create the student, you need to be able to give it a certain piece of data, right? So, and sometimes you'll have situations where you need to use an initializer list. So let's say that there is I can't think of a piece of data. Let's just make a data class, right? So we'll just call this class data, and that's, and then I need to make the constructor of that public, right? So I have no idea what this piece of data would be, right? But let's just say it's I don't know. Now then what you have, so this is starting to get a little bit abstract. So let's say it's I'm trying to think of something that would be applicable, right? But I'll just leave it and I'll call it data, right? So let's say that student needed to have access to the data class. So now what you could do is you could say data data. So let's maybe make it a reference, right? So data like that, and then it has a name. Now what I could do, I hope I'm not going too far ahead for you, is let's keep it simple like that, right? So I'll just keep it simple for now. So let's say that the student needs to have some sort of data class that's passed in. Okay. Now what happens is that when I'm in the school class, I've created student 1 and I've created student 2, but I don't have any data, right? So it's only passing in one argument, but I need to have a data argument to pass in. So now what I could do is I could create a data class, right? And then just to take it a little bit further, I can do this, right? And that will work, okay? So now we will take it one step further. We'll take it one step further, right? Where we say, okay, let's say that data needs to have some sort of initialization, some sort of data needs to have something in order to initialize it as an object. So let's say that it needs to take an int num data objects, right? This is just something I'm making up, right? So now you see right away I got an error, right? Because it says constructor for school must explicitly initialize the member data, which does not have a default constructor. And so we see what happens here because data needs to, in order to create a data object, that needs to take an argument now. So now what I need to do is I need to have data take an argument, an int argument, right? So let's say it takes 2 objects. And so now what happens is I'm initializing data, and then I'm using that data object to help initialize student 1 and student 2. Okay? So, but you can't, the important thing here is that student needs to have the data object to initialize, right? So you need to, so the data object needs to be initialized before you try to initialize student. So this would not work. So data, if I do student 1, student 2, and sorry, my mouse died. I don't know what happened to it. Oh, there it is. So now I have this data object, and now watch what happens if I do this. Oh, this actually succeeds. Interesting. I thought that wasn't going to work. But this for me would not be the best way to do it, because what's happening here is that you're initializing your data object. I guess it wouldn't. I don't know, because you're initializing it off of data that hasn't actually been given its argument list. I thought that wasn't going to compile, but the better way to do this is the way that I had it at first, which is that data is up at the top, and you're initializing data, and that because the data object needs to be initialized before you initialize student 1 and student 2. Yeah? So that's really it. It's just about the access to information that the object needs to know about in order to actually be able to run. You know, in my case, so taking it back to my situation, so we have this turntable settings panel, right? So it contains, so you have these settings, and you've seen the settings on the panel where you can switch between the left and the right turntable. And we can see that in the turntable settings class that I have, where you can change it. So where I changed the turntable, and what it's doing is it's changing that in the settings. So I changed, the user changes the option, and now that changes that to this settings class, right? Well, in order for that to be able to happen, now my UI needs to know about my settings class, which is the data that's behind the UI, right? And for that reason, I need to pass in my settings as an initializer argument when I'm as an argument for when I'm actually constructing the panel, because the panel needs to know about the settings, right? So that's the reason why I'm passing that in. And you can see that once again, same sort of situation. So I have a turntable selector. I have and I have this in this situation. So what I'm doing is I'm actually using so this kind of adds another layer of complexity to it, which is that so I've passed in this settings. I've passed in a settings object, right? So my turntable settings panel needs to know about my settings. Now there's a problem that maybe I need to use those settings or access those settings somewhere else in my class outside of the constructor, right? Because when I'm passing this in, this S object, the S object would only exist or be not only exist, but it'd only be accessible in the constructor. But if I need to actually be able to access the settings outside of the constructor, now what I need to do is make a reference. I need to make a reference to settings, which is actually another reference. So it's a reference to a reference. So the way that I do that is now I create an object that is a reference, right? So this is actually it's the same thing as a pointer, right? In that what it's doing is it's not creating another settings object. It's actually just referencing the initial object that that I'm passing in. So I'm saying, okay, I'm passing in this settings. I don't want to create a new set of settings. I'm just talking about the existing settings. And now what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, now I have this other thing called settings, and I want that to point to the same thing, right? I just want that to point to my initial settings because I don't want to create a whole new set of settings. I just want to reference the original one. And then from there, now I can use settings throughout my class because that's a member variable in my in the turntable settings panel class, right? And you can see that in here I have like settings, and I'm using it in various ways throughout the class. So this is really about just passing data around. That's really all it's about. So I hope that was helpful. Yeah, it can be a confusing one sometimes. So I'm gonna try something else here very quickly while I'm on my DJ setup display. I want to try. I got this turntable image. I'm gonna try theme color orange for this, and then in hardware setup, I think what I'm going to do, so I tried to do this fancy color gradient. I don't know if I really like that, so I'm just going to do a g.setColor here, and then theme color orange, or theme color yellow here. And then for the turntable selection, I'm going to do g.setColor theme color orange. I'm going to try that. Okay, so another question regarding initialization. When would you use a separate initialization with a new keyword instead of initialization list? The initialization list seems like a nice convenience, idiomatic, syntactic sugar, but settings is a pointer, irrelevant. So yes, so they're very similar, right? Except when you're talking about new, well, first off, you shouldn't really use new anymore. You should probably use make unique when you're talking about making a new object on the heap or like a pointer, right? But it is that's exactly the difference, right? So that's exactly the difference between a reference and a pointer. So the thing to know about a reference is that the reference, when you're creating an object, and um, when you create an object on the stack, that object lasts the lifetime of your application, right? But when you're creating a pointer, what you're doing is you're actually creating something that you may not want to have for the lifetime of your application. So one way that I describe this to people is uh, when you're if you are creating a video game and you have a menu, so you may have like a menu where you're selecting your game, selecting the number of players. Then you're going to have some sort of play state where you're going to have players and you're going to have enemies. You're going to have some type of scene, and then you're going to have an end state. When when you're in your menu, you don't need to have the players already created, right? You only want to create the players when you actually need them, because your players and your scene and all of those things may need a whole load of data, may need to occupy a whole load of data, right? So that's the reason why you would want to use a pointer, because a pointer allows you to actually initialize the object later on in the application when you say, okay, if the game state is equal to play, now uh, now I want to create the players, and that's where you would use an array of you know an array of unique pointers, I guess, or something like that. So that's the whole difference. Whereas like a reference, or when you're creating an object and the object needs to know, that's why you need to use the initialization list, because that's saying that when this class is created, then you need to give any classes that it owns its data at the point of initialization, because you can't do it later. That's why. So that's the big difference there. So okay, so now we're going to turn this on. Let's see how this actually looks. Cool. I think that actually looks pretty cool. What do you think? Is it too many colors? I think now this box needs to be red. Actually, needs to be theme color orange. Yeah, yeah, that's the different. Oh yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, when so now you just told me that you come from a processing background, like processing in Java. So yeah, so new in Java and processing is different than new in C++. plus plus. When new in C++ plus plus is referring to a pointer, creating a new pointer, okay, or allocating memory to a pointer. New in new in Java or in processing is actually when that's what you use just to normally create a new object, right? And yeah, so now that I have that context, yes, it is like new in processing or new in Java, where you're actually creating the object. So it's exactly the same thing. Yeah, exactly. So cool. So this looks pretty good. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to just make this whole box now theme color orange. And I think I'm going to do that, and then I think I'll be good. Then I'm going to show Dimitri the uh, the URL class. Yeah, glad to help. Glad to help. So we got DJ setup display. So this is in turntable selector panel, and then this is actually going to turn into theme color orange. We're going to do that, and I think we'll be good now. So while we're doing that, yes. So let's talk about the URL class, right? So we have this URL class, and big shout out to Adam Wilson, who wrote this actually in 2015. So he wrote this a long time ago. Um, I can't. My memory on this is actually hazy. So you have these different types of requests that you can make to a server, right? And this is something that I've read about and actually just learned about when I actually needed to set this whole thing up. But since then, my memory on this is hazy. So so basically, when you have a server that can receive requests, you have different types of requests that you can make. You can make like a GET request, a POST request, a PUT request, a DELETE request, and so on. So what uh, what Adam has done is he's actually written this wrapper, this really good wrapper um, around for this class. I don't think that it actually has any sort of dependencies or anything. Um, and then now what I've done is I've actually written a wrapper around his wrapper, right? Um, so what I've done is I've made a URL a server request class, right? And what I've done is I've made a like these strings that have URLs, and then what I'm doing is I'm not sure exactly what the question that you may have, Dimitri, on this, um, but this is essentially how I did it, right? I can actually send you, like, if you want, message me in Discord. I could actually send this to you so you can actually have a look and see how I actually did it. But it's a lot. It's a lot to unlock, I think, when you're actually just doing it. But you can see that locally in when I do register new user, I create a new REST request, which is the class that Adam wrote. And then this request needed to take several fields. It needed to take their email, their username, and their password confirmation. And then what I do is I use uh, a post command to actually send that to the server, and it says basically if the result was okay, um, and if it didn't find any errors, then you can get a token that allows you to log into the that allows you to log into the application. Okay, and then there's different ones for logging in users, logging out users, getting a user, uh, all kinds of things. So yeah, drop me a line if you want to know more about that, or if you just want to check out the class that I wrote for that, and I can send that to you. So yeah, there you go. Is anybody still watching this thing? So I actually still have some people watching. Awesome. I think I need to grab some lunch soon. I'm kind of hungry. Um, yeah, yeah. Just drop me a line in the Discord. So so yeah. So let's see how this looks now. So now we have login. This is connected now. This is cool. Yeah, this is cool. This is nice because this kind of associates. Maybe I should put a yellow. Maybe I should put a yellow box around this mixer. Maybe, I don't know. Then if I switch, yeah, that looks cool. Maybe make the yellow, maybe make this line a little bit higher so it sits a little bit higher above the above this yellow line, so it doesn't look so close together. It's not bad though. It's not bad. I think it's come along quite a bit. So yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna end it. And then if I just turn this off, and now we can see that we got the pulsing please connect mixer to begin. Yeah, then we do that. I mean, what would be really awesome is to have it like kind of animate. That would be super cool. That would probably take me a while to actually put together. But that's what I was thinking is maybe the lines could just kind of like draw out. But that would take a little bit. And also these are just default juice looks at the moment. Well, it could be for Serato or for Tractor actually. Yeah, so a secret application. I can't tell you what it does. It's a game. It's a game I've been working on for a couple years, and it's actually ready. It actually works and everything. It's just I need to actually do the um, this UI stuff. So UI is just it's just tough. I think this is pretty cool though. What do y'all think? Does it look pretty cool? I mean, I'm sure there's more that I can do to make this look a little bit cleaner, but like I think something like when the mixer is connecting, um, you know, to have like a status, please wait, mixer connecting. When I actually turn the mixer on, I think that would be awesome. But yeah, it's coming along. Cool. I think I need some lunch now. So yeah. Anybody got anything that they want to say before I sign off? Thanks very much for tuning in. Oh, so maybe you need to connect more than a mixer to begin? N- no, no. At the moment, you just connect a mixer, but yeah, there is an assumption that there's physical decks. Yeah, you bring up a great point, which is that there needs to be a test, right, to make sure that the decks actually work and that they're actually receiving a signal. So that actually brings up a good point. But there needs to be a whole. That's the thing about this app is it's so big. There needs to be a whole UX layer that I need to write that says, hold on, we're not actually receiving a signal and things like that. But I really enjoyed this. I think that there's I enjoy doing these live streams, so I'm gonna try to do them more. Um, yeah. So I think I'm gonna sign off. I think I'm gonna eat some lunch now, and I imagine my dog is hungry as well. So, but thank you to everyone who tuned in, and I think that I hope that this was helpful for people, and um, yeah, let's do it again. This was fun. I had a great time. I hope you did too. So I will see you all soon, and speak to you later.